Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you've probably seen, I don't know, 1,000 times, but you've probably never actually stopped to think about it. We are going to rigorously analyze an astonishingly concise, starkly minimalist document that is simply titled New Note. You know, in a world where we're just constantly bombarded with endless, massive streams of content, encountering a source text that is this incredibly brief, it's actually kind of rare. So we're going to unpack every single bite of it to see what it actually tells us. Okay, let's dive right into this. Let's just take a long, deliberate pause here and let the sheer, uncompromising brevity of this raw source material wash over us. It is entirely unadorned, completely devoid of context. It's just sitting right there at the genesis of creation, isn't it? It is literally the digital equivalent of a blank canvas. And this exact unyielding string of characters, that is the absolute entirety of the excerpt we possess. That's the whole shebang. It establishes a very strict, literal boundary for our investigation today. We aren't analyzing thick chapters or long paragraphs here. We are literally just looking at a few bits of syntax. No preceding argument, no supporting evidence, just this singular, isolated digital artifact. Now, what's really interesting here is the immediate structural tension going on. On one hand, you have the clean, conceptual title, New Note. That's how we picture the document in our minds, right? But mechanically, underneath it all, you have the raw, markdown-heavy formatting of the excerpt itself, complete with all those hashes. It perfectly highlights the clash between the pure idea of a document and its actual, messy digital footprint. So let's move to our typographic breakdown and see how this builds. If we treat this brief text as a hard data set, we can mathematically categorize its exact 13 structural components. We've got 5 hash symbols, 7 alphabetical letters, and exactly 1 space holding the entire thing together. A perfect, closed ecosystem of characters. And visualizing this taxonomy reveals something pretty wild about the actual physical real estate of the document. The formatting symbols, those hashes, they consume nearly half of the entire excerpt's space. Think about that. The hidden architecture that's just there to tell the text how to behave is almost as prominent as the readable text itself. Let's hyperfixate on that non-alphabetical data for a second. The number 5. There are exactly 5 hash marks preceding the text. Now, in Markdown language, that isn't just arbitrary. It establishes a very specific hierarchical weight. It tells the system to format this as a heading 5. So it's not the booming, confident voice of a primary title. It's this deeply nested, quiet subheading just waiting for its place in a much larger hierarchy. And those 5 formatting markers? They're followed by precisely 2 words. Let that ratio sink in. You have 2.5 formatting symbols for every single readable word. It creates this intense, almost overwhelming ratio of structural syntax to actual semantic payload. It reveals a document that is incredibly heavily structured before it's even begun to communicate a single actual idea. Looking closely at the word selection itself, we see extreme brevity in the English language. I mean, talk about efficiency. We get a brisk 3-character word, new, immediately followed by a 4-character word, note. Totally functional, no adjectives, no extra flair, just 7 letters doing exactly what they say on the tin, identifying a fresh note. We can even methodically break down the literal, sequential anatomy of this phrasing to see the deliberate symmetry at play. We start strong with a capital N, move through a couple lowercase letters, hit our solitary spacer, and then boom, we mirror that start with another capital N. Capital, lowercase, lowercase. Space. Capital, lowercase, lowercase, lowercase. It creates this very specific, almost bouncy rhythm when you type it out. But here's the thing. The absolutely crucial point is not just the 13 characters actively rendered on the screen. No, the true weight of this source material is the profound, echoing emptiness of the unwritten space that immediately follows them. We've all felt it, right? Staring at that blinking cursor. The phrase new note inherently promises something more. It's an empty digital vessel, just waiting to be filled with your thoughts. Which ultimately means we have to conclude our explainer on the most pressing, unanswerable inquiry generated by this abrupt little artifact. What comes next? It leaves us to forever ponder the unfinished void of this document. Was this going to be a mundane grocery list, the opening lines of a brilliant novel, or just some fleeting thought that the author completely forgot to write down? We are never going to know. But the minimalist footprint it left behind has a fantastic reminder of the endless potential of a blank page. Keep wondering about the unwritten, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.